WMLT is on deck next to tell about a horrific truck accident.
Also, a story of how meaningful a cakewalk can be. All of this and more on WMLT News beginning right now.
Hello and welcome to WMLT News. I'm Austin Bess.
And I'm Sarah White.
2 Riverside High School students are dead after an accident last weekend. 17-year-old Cody Perdue and 18-year-old Mason Roosh were pronounced dead on the scene. A third student, 16-year-old Kristen Young, was in the hospital after the head-on collision. State troopers say Roosh attempted to pass a vehicle and didn't get back across the line before striking Perdue's vehicle on Route 61. Riverside High School Principal Valerie Harper got several text messages the night of the accident and helped organize a candlelight vigil on Monday. Perdue and Roosh are the 3rd and 4th Riverside students to die in the past 6 months. A semi-tractor trailer crashed into an I-79 bridge and fell to the road below last Monday. The crash was on southbound I-79 just past the Meadowbridge Mall exit in Bridgeport. Authorities believe the driver lost control as he was approaching the bridge, hit the guardrail, and fell to the street below. The truck was completely destroyed and the I-79 was limited to 1 lane, while a section of Meadowbridge Road was completely closed. The driver of the truck was transported to United Hospital Center and his current condition is still unknown.
Concord University student-run radio station WVCU was given the go-ahead by administration to apply for a low-power FM license. The program's manager, Jessica Lilly Doty, has put a lot of work into the application, securing funds for a future tower installation and creating new programming that will serve the local community as well as students. But for all the work that's gone into the project, the application is currently on hold due to the governmental shutdown. The FCC is responsible for reviewing and approving the station's application for the new FM license. Doty hopes the deadline for application will be extended due to the shutdown, but she is preparing to submit the application for WVCU as soon as possible. Just in case, WVCU is currently broadcasting on the campus channel 16 and streams on the internet.
A retired police officer has been shot and killed after firing 24 shots at a federal courthouse in Wheeling, West Virginia. On Wednesday, October 9th, 55-year-old Thomas Pickard drove from his home in Bridgeport, Ohio to the Wheeling courthouse armed with an assault rifle and a handgun before firing shots into the building, where 3 on-duty security guards were injured in the process. Pickard had been in retirement for 13 years and was a 20-year veteran of the police force. According to attorney Bill Enfield, who worked with Pickard in the past, was in the building at the same time of the shooting, and 3 shots were fired into his office. Whether or not Pickard's motives were caused by the recent government shutdown is unknown.
The West Virginia Adult Basic Education Office has announced that people who have only passed a portion of their GEDs will now have a year to do so without restarting it. A new computerized version of the test will go into effect on January 2nd. Earlier this year, more than 13,000 people across West Virginia received a notice that if they did not pass all of the parts of the test by December 31st, their scores would be erased. The current version of the GED that is replaced was developed in 2002. The newer nationwide version uses Common Core standards, and while West Virginia is currently one of the only 4 states that offers the GED for free, the new computerized test will cost the test taker anywhere between $50 and $120.
A scientific organization that questions evolutionary-based beliefs held a conference in Princeton. Chad Brown was among those who attended.
Answers in Genesis, a full-time ministry, is also a group of scientists dedicated to defend the validity of biblical creationism as found in the book of Genesis. Answers in Genesis held this conference from Sunday to Tuesday of last week, each day ending with an evening lecture from the featured speaker, Dr. Tommy Mitchell. Mitchell has a bachelor's degree in cellular biology and is also a certified medical doctor, once having his own practice before leaving to speak for Answers in Genesis full-time. He addressed several different topics during the conference, including the 7-day account of the creation of the world and the Great Flood as recorded in the Bible. He also challenged opposing arguments in favor of secular evolutionary theory, most notably the idea of Darwinian macroevolution, in which one creature gradually becomes a completely different one over time. One way Answers in Genesis challenges this, according to Mitchell, is highlighting the difference between observational science and historical science. When critics say that evolution has more evidence than creationism, Mitchell says to consider that this is not necessarily a battle for evidence. Zach Posey, a Concord student and proclaimed Christian, says audience reception to this conference was overall positive. As far as future plans go for Answers in Genesis, according to Dr. Mitchell, the organization will continue to hold similar conferences such as these nationwide, as well as finish the construction of a full-scale replica of Noah's Ark within the coming years. For more information about Answers in Genesis, go to www.answersingenesis.org. Reporting for WMLT News, I'm Chad Brown, Princeton.
We'll be right back with more WMLT News after this break.
It's been over a year since the super derecho passed through southern West Virginia, and for one resident, it's not over. When the powerful storm came through late June 2012, many were unprepared for the days that followed, which included extended power outages for millions of people and extensive property damage. One Hinton resident continues to live under the shadow of that day. Wilma Robinson still lives here with her family at home under the weight of a black walnut tree where the tree fell. It damaged the roof and the gutter. Some men trimmed the tree back, but no one is willing to attempt to remove it from her home. Her neighbor's insurance considered the failing of an act of God, and therefore he isn't responsible to remove it. Robinson also has contacted Hinton City Hall and FEMA, but the tree remains. She is concerned about the tree laying on her home, but she doesn't know where else to turn. Science has had yet another breakthrough on the final frontier. The Voyager 1 has become the first human-made object to enter interstellar space. On August 25, 2012, the Voyager 1 exited a giant invisible bubble called the heliopause, which is, theoretically, where the sun's solar wind is stopped by interstellar medium. The probe is now surrounded, almost exclusively by the particles produced by other stars. While the Voyager 1 is nowhere near out of our solar system because the sun is still exhibiting some gravitational pull, it has traveled 25.4 billion kilometers in the last 36 years, but still has a long way to go.
The Lumberjack and Bluegrass and Jamboree was in full swing at Twin Falls State Park Resort earlier this month. Brian Allen filed this report.
The 31st annual Jamboree brought in competitors from across the region. 3 school clubs from Penn State, Virginia Tech, and West Virginia University competed in various team events such as a log roll, cross-cutting, chainsaw, bolt splitting, and chopping. The students' participation exposes them to the timber industry.
All these students are learning how to basically what people did in the olden days, because they used cross-cut saws and hand axes in order to fell trees. Nowadays it's more mechanized, and they have chainsaws and everything else in order to get the wood out, but we want to teach them the culture, and so they can get them some good competition.
The Jamboree is a community event that focuses on the importance of the timber industry in West Virginia. In addition to the lumberjacking, there were a variety of other attractions available, including arts and crafts, bluegrass music, square dancing, and hay rides. According to the West Virginia Forestry Association, forestry contributes $3.2 billion to the state's economy. Timber has traditionally ranked as one of West Virginia's largest major industries. One of the visitors to the Jamboree had some pointers for the women in the competition.
Yeah, the girls need to learn how to, women do things more with their legs, and so they need to learn how to get their coordination up over top of their axe and come down with their leg strength, and I think it would be helpful to them.
The 3-day annual event usually sees around 3,500 visitors. It begins Friday afternoon and lasts through Sunday. For WMLT News, I'm Brian Allen at Twin Falls State Park.
And now for our sports segment, here's Amber Dunn.
Penn State handed Michigan their first loss of the season with a 43-40 win in quadruple overtime. Michigan missed 3 out of 4 field goals but had many opportunities to win the game, yet Penn State pushed ahead in the overtimes to secure the victory. In much sadder news, the 2-year-old son of Minnesota Vikings running back Adrian Peterson died last Friday due to injuries he suffered after allegedly being abused. The mother's boyfriend, Joseph Robert Patterson, who was the only one at home at the time of the incident, was charged with aggravated battery of an infant and aggravated assault. He could face up to 40 years in prison and $80,000 in fines. That's all for sports this week. Back to you guys at the desk.
A former Army captain receives America's highest military recognition, the Medal of Honor. William Swenson was in deadly firefight in the Afghanistan War and received the medal for extraordinary heroism that took place near the Pakistan border on September 8, 2009. Swenson was said to have risked his life to recover bodies and help save fellow troops. Swenson, a resident of Seattle, has been awarded the Purple Heart and Bronze Star, but retired from the military in February 2011. Despite all previous hardships, Swenson is said to be asking to return to active duty in the Army.
Communities in Virginia are giving back in unique ways. With Christmas right around the corner, residents at one nursing home will benefit from this generosity. Here's Austin Best with more.
Elderly people, as well as people from the local communities of Covington and Clifton Forge, Virginia, attended a cakewalk earlier this month. Woodland's resident home was packed with supporters as well as happy residents. More than 100 businesses donated money, prizes, and time to make it happen. Director Angie Baldwin says the event ensures that residents left without family or visitors will have something to open during the holidays. With over 120 cakes and hundreds of dollars in prizes, this event brought in crowds from Virginia as well as people from neighboring West Virginia. The fundraiser has been successful for the past 25 years. Angie Baldwin says this event is a big deal to the residents. All proceeds raised by ticket sales, concession profits, and business donations will be used to purchase Christmas gifts for the residents.
This event not only allows residents to have a good Christmas, but also to socialize with their families and people from the community.
It's awesome because not only do kids need a good Christmas, but older adults need a good Christmas as well. They love it. They're eating it up right now in there. They love all these people and they love the attention.
At the end of the night, the total profit surpassed $2,000. This generosity by community members not only raised money for gifts, but also gave these residents something to smile about. For WMLT, I'm Austin Best.
That's it for WMLT News. I'm Austin Best.
And I'm Sarah White. Tune in again in 2 weeks.